All right, guys, so this is your unit review. So I'm going to go through one page at a time for each video so you can kind of scroll through it how you need it based on whatever you need help with. All right, so remember that for this first section that we're going to be working on transformations. So here, if it says translate figure D 7 to the right and 1 up, that means I need to look at each point on this figure and move it in that direction. So I'm going to focus on one at a time. So let's say I start with this one. I count 7 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I'll go up. That's my first point. Then I go to the next point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 up. And I'm just kind of going through each point, making sure that I'm counting carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 up. Again, just make sure you're going both directions, both right and up, depending on what it's telling you to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then once you kind of start to kind of draw out the shape, you'll kind of be able to kind of just, for instance, here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 units down. So from this point, it's pretty much the same when I redraw the figure. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I just have that one last point here, which from there to there is 3 units over and 2 units up. So I can just kind of draw that or measure that out as on the new figure. And again, if you want to just count 7 to the right and 1 up and whatever the directions tell you to do for each shape, that's fine. And just don't forget, complete the shape by connecting all the dots, just like if you're doing one of those old little connect the dot magazines. All right, and that's it for that shape. Next, and remember, that's the translating translating transformation. Okay, so now if we go to the reflect, remember we're going to flip it over. So we're going to go again, one point at a time. So if I start with this point, it's 2 units away from the line of reflection. So remember that line in the middle, that is our line of reflection. Okay, so everything flips over that line. Okay, so that means if it's 2 units away, it's 2 units away on the other side because it's symmetrical over to the other side of the line. Same thing here, 2 units away, I just reflect that over. This one's also 2 units away, it goes straight over. This point's 4 units away from that line, so then I go 4 units to the right. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, count 6 to the right on this side, and I got one more over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, same thing. Just make sure once you do redraw those dots, make sure you reconnect them. Okay. All right, so now down here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be rotating, and you guys can use the patty paper like we did before. So remember, when you set this up, first draw your little target in the middle, okay, because that's our point of rotation where we're rotating around. So you want to line that up with each axis, the X and the Y. Then I'm going to copy each of these dots, okay, and I'm also going to draw the letter too, just so I kind of know which one's which, because remember, you have to label these after you rotate it. And we're going 270 degrees counterclockwise, which means we're going in this direction. Okay, so remember, I'm going to hold my pencil down, and each rotation where I reline the target back up, that's 90 degrees. So if I go 1, that's 90. 2, that's 180. 3, there's my 270 degree rotation. So now I just need to kind of look and see where do my dots line up. I can see that this is right at 3, 0. So I kind of just hold the paper down and match it up as I go. So that's point Q. Let's see, S is 1 over and down, 1 over to the right and 1 down. That's S. And then R is all the way down over here. It's 5 to the right and 4 down. So 5 to the right and 4 down right here on the edge of the graph. Okay. And then remember, when you draw a new transformation and they're labeled, you draw the little prime symbol on it, okay, with the hyphen. Okay, so then I connect it again. There we go. All right, so that's the clockwise, that's the rotation. Again, you guys can use this and just make sure you draw that target. And remember, each rotation is 90 degrees. And if it was clockwise, then I would have rotated the other direction. The other thing is, the key thing is just make sure you hold your pencil down on that point of rotation to help your paper make sure it turns properly. Okay, all right, now this just kind of states what is the rule, okay? What is going on here? Okay, well, if I'm looking at this shape, notice how these letters don't have the hyphen or the prime symbol. This one does. So that means that this is the old shape or the original, and this is the new one after it's been transformed. And if I'm looking at it, it doesn't look like it just slid over, because look at point G. Point G is on the left over here, but over here it's on the right. That means this was flipped over, which means it's a reflection. Okay, and then the rule is it's a reflection over this line here in the middle, because you can see that this is the line that kind of cuts right down the middle of the two shapes. And what's that called? That is your y-axis. So it's a reflection over the y-axis. And that's our rule. Okay. All right, so now if it's this one, this is another one where we got to state the rule, except this time you notice how the orientation of the shape is the same. U is still on the top, T is still on the bottom, V is still to the right. So that means this slid is a slide, which means it's a translation. But the thing we need to figure out is, well, how far over did it go? So just like the first shape we drew, we had to go 7 right, 1 up. Okay, well, if I'm paying attention to just unit V, I had to go 1, 2, 3 units to the right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units up. So I had to go 5 up, 3 right. So when I actually write the rule, the change going to the right is my change in x. And if I go right, that means plus, so plus 3. In other words, x plus 3. And then over here, if I'm going up, that's a change in y, and I'm going up, so it's y plus 5. So that's what I'm going to write down here as the rule. So x plus 3 and y plus 5. And if it was the opposite, oops, sorry about that, where if I'm going, like, say, down, then this would be minus 5. If I was going left, then I would put x minus 3. Okay, so now name the shape and find the perimeter, given that each side is 10. All right, so it says that each side is 10 millimeters. So I can just go ahead and label all these. And if you kind of get the idea, you don't have to label them all, but I'm just kind of writing this down so you guys can see what's going on. And you see I've got a total of 6 sides. 6 sides, they're all 10 meters, 10 millimeters, and we have to find the perimeter. Okay, well, first, before we do that, we have to name the shape. And if there's 6 sides, remember that's a polygon, but if it's 6, it's a hexagon. Remember, the key thing in that is the word 6, they both have x, hex and 6. Okay, so now going back to perimeter, remember, to perimeter we add all the sides. So add all sides. Okay, and if it's all sides are the same, it's essentially doing 10 6 times, which I can just do 6 times. Oops, not plus, 6 times 10, which would be 60 millimeters. And if you're looking for length or perimeter, remember, you don't have to include the square. That's only when we look for area, which will be the next one that we do. Okay, so now name the shape. Okay, well, if you can see that, remember all these marks, if they're all the same marks, that means that all these sides are equal or congruent, which then means that this must be a square. Okay, technically it is a rectangle as well, but again, we want to kind of get the more finer detail in knowing that, hey, these are all equal sides, so it is a square. Okay, so now area. Area is not the same as perimeter. Perimeter, we gotta add the sides. Area is something different. Okay, area of a square or a rectangle is base times height. So basically it's one side times the other, and if we know all sides are equal, this is also 6. So essentially what we're doing is just 6 times 6, which would be 36. And notice it doesn't have any units written. So if the units are not written, then we just write units. And if it's area, we also need to put the square. Okay, so square units or unit square. Okay, so now this one, this is a triangle. Okay, remember, area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So it's pretty much the same as the rectangle or square. We just are also multiplying 1/2. Remember, this is in your packet. I'll have these formulas written on the board. You guys just need to know which one's for which and how to use them. Okay, so now remember, the base is going to be the bottom of the triangle here. Okay, the length that is drawn right through the middle of the triangle and shows the little right angle at 90 degrees, that's always going to be your height. So there's your height, essentially that second part of the formula, and the base is the first part. So what I'm going to do is 1/2 times 12 times the height, which is 6. Okay, so first I'll multiply these whole numbers first. So 12 times 6, that's going to be 72. And then basically 1/2 of 72, or you can use a calculator to figure that out, is essentially going to be 36. So 36 square feet, or 36 feet squared. Okay, and the name of that shape, so you guys all should know this one, it's a triangle. Okay, so that's the first video. If you want to see the next page, go to the next one.